As someone from Europe, how is Trump doing so well? I have never seen anything but negative Trump posts. How is he doing so well in the US? Am I missing something that the media is not showing the rest of the world? Your first mistake is assuming Reddit reflects the real world. How many Americans have you met and talked to? Most likely you see posts on Reddit, Twitter, etc. These skew your perception. Old people vote more than anyone else and tend to lean right. The posts you are seeing are not representative of the US population as a whole. You're seeing posts from demographics that overwhelmingly despise Trump. What I would really like to understand is how the two major parties are always so close in every 98 of people always vote the same party no matter what. Do you know anyone in Hungary? Trump's popularity has similar causes as Orban's popularity. I don't know. Why don't you ask Boris Johnson, Silvio Berlusconi, or Marine Le Pen? The idea that right-wing demagoguery is not understandable to Europeans is just silly. You see a lot of negative posts because you're currently on a majority left platform. Reddit is left-leaning and so is most social medias. A large portion of the GOP voter base still loves the guy. Any GOP politician who is critical of him in any way pays a heavy political price for it. As for how this is, the answer is high charisma on Trump's part. His ability to dog whistle the more viler portions of the nation and admittedly smart political tactics from him and his campaign outright condemning a federal abortion ban. Something no other GOP candidate is willing to do when the issue is political poison. Because some people in this country can still see through the spew of the swamp and people don't fall for the media narrative and recognize how far the US has fallen and continues to fall. Trump was the first non-career politician to sit in the White House and we need more of wasn't bought by anyone. He didn't need the position for money or power. The media and left have never attacked someone like they have Trump, and it's because they are scared of him. Reddit users are drastically more left-wing than the overall US population. A lot of people who voted for will vote for Trump because of his policies. In spite of his busted character and many personal flaws, keep their mouths shut because of the backlash they'd receive for voting for him. Reddit and most social media tends to lean a lot more left than right. If you're only basing it off what you see there, you'll think no one likes Trump when that isn't the reality we live in. He was a well-known celebrity with a recognizable catchphrase. He is funny and says what he thinks in simple language. He presents himself as proudly rich because he is good at business, which many folks find to be relatable and aspirational. We only have two parties and the Democrats aren't helping themselves. No, you're not missing anything. There's just a lot of people over here who have less than zero trust in the media and government, and assume most things the media says are lies or misrepresentation to suit some political agenda. Trump echoes these sentiments, and some people view it as a witch hunt. Reddit is a liberal echo chamber that doesn't reflect the general population. I'm not saying I personally agree or disagree with this BTW. Simply stating this will probably get downvoted to invisibility though. Watch. It's baffling. The rural folk hated him when he was a loudmouth New Yorker in the 1980s and 90s. Now it turns out they hate him way less than they hate universal health care. Don't trust corporate news sources. Local European discovers what echo chambers are, circa 2023, colorized. Trump is a symptom of a much deeper, much more pervasive problem this country has had since basically its founding. But no, you aren't missing anything. There's a large portion of Americans that genuinely see this dude as some kind of messiah. It's pretty insane. He's very charismatic and very well known. The part of the population that favors him is borderline worshipful. The part of the population that wants him gone will still quote his speech word for word and cannot stop talking about him. He will never be forgotten. At this point, whichever side of the fence you fall on, you have to agree his momentum is astounding. At some point he's going to die. The dude's almost 80 and a large portion of the public will still parade his name around one way or another. It's a very interesting time. People hate when someone they don't like is successful. Honestly, as an European living in the US, I actually became more and more understanding of people voting for Trump or just Republican. You have here a lot of woke shit that is beyond our understanding in Europe, including a lot of insecurities that make people go to the extreme and different priorities over time. Echo chambers. We're in one. There's a huge right-wing echo chamber as well. Fox News is the largest news org in the US. Read the front page of Fox News Daily for 3 weeks, and you'll realize why Trump is doing well. It is nearly impossible to describe the levels of gerrymandering and voter suppression that are allowed to exist in America. The things that go on are just simply not seen in first world nations. But so many Americans have grown up under this system that they physically cannot conceive of how corrupt it is. He's like a roadside psychic or palm reader. He makes intentionally vague statements about things we're all passionate about, and then we assign our own personal meaning to it. I don't know if anyone in history has said so much without really saying anything at all. It's wild open mouth smile. Love him or hate him, we're all talking about him. A lot of it is based on polls taken by the right-wing media and others. I was actually called by one, and as soon as I told them my political standing they just hung up on me. So yeah, at least that group is very selective about who they want to count on their poll. Old people getting a second chance to relive the fights of the civil rights era before they die. He's funny on Twitter, good on TV. A lot of people felt like they had more disposable cash when he was president. And he runs his mouth about media figures and political personalities the majority hates. He has charisma and makes his base feel good. It is all vibes. Conservative Christians mostly think he isn't legit, but he gives them judges they like, so they will overlook his personality. Because it's a year before the election and the polls are irrelevant. But American media is obsessed with constant horse race coverage of presidential races. So it's all they'll talk about. Yesterday there was an actual election. The Democrats did extremely well. And yet all the mainstream articles kept saying, well, Biden still had that bad poll the other day. Polling that far out does not matter at all. It's a failure of the media to treat him like the sociopathic career criminal and rapist that he is. The guy is occupied by 6 court cases right now, 4 of which are criminal. A few months ago he was found liable for sexual assault, and the judge added that he raped his victim in the conventional sense, just not in the narrow manner it's defined in New York. A few weeks a different judge ruled that he committed fraud to get loans. He may receive prison sentences during the presidential campaign that could keep him in jail for the rest of his life. But Biden is old. I'll probably get downvoted for saying it, even when it's the obvious response to the question here. But the media is biased against Trump very heavily. And if Reddit is a major source of news for you, that would also be why, because Reddit is extremely left-leaning. He is a sociopathic lifelong conman who specializes in telling people what they want to hear and making them feel important. He sells the idea that everything that pisses you off is the fault of the people you already dislike. As someone from the US, no fucking idea.